Hey, how are you? It's Pat Coakley. Just eating my man chips before I have to start eating the lady chips. Because, you know, we ladies, we don't like to crunch in public. Oh, dear God, they taste great. Hey, I've had 2 weeks without any processed grain, without sugar. This was my treat for the month. And I did almost choked during it because I was laughing. I know by now you've all heard of this new move by PepsiCo or the chairman of whoever's in charge of the snack foods. It's a lady, I have to say, who's decided that they're going to make some lady chips because she's noticed that men really get their orangey fingers over everything, and they turn the bag upside down so all the little bits go into their mouth. They never lose anything, and they don't mind crunching in public, and ladies just don't like to do that, according to this woman. So, talk about a woman who's not exactly with the zeitgeist of the times. We're not going to have any #MeToo on this one. So, I had a little fun. I was going to talk more about it, but it's frankly sort of boring me after my venture into the vending machine to get these Doritos. I really felt like I had the Hope Diamond all day looking at that bag. So anyway, it's Pat Coakley, it's PODSNACKS, Art of the Diet, episode 130. Wow. All right. Stay tuned. So let's talk about my most important topic. And I think it's a topic that anyone dealing with weight management will find helpful. And that is the magic of just getting started. And what do I mean by just getting started? Because most of us have lost a great deal of weight or have done it multiple times in our lives and have learned that it comes back. How does that happen? And so I'm entering my 9th year of maintaining a 60-pound weight loss, and I'm reflecting back on now, what one skill, if I had to recommend one skill that I've employed over the 9 years, what has it been? And it has nothing to do with food. It has to do with behavior. And it is the magic of just getting started. And I read this article this week in the New York Times, Micro Progress and the Magic of Just Getting Started by Tim Herrera. And that's what made me start thinking about this, because for me, I can't count literally how many times I've had to just get started back to sensible eating, sensible portions, sensible food groups, sensible exercise. Nothing was ever written in concrete. I know some folks, once they're on the weight maintenance train, and it's very few of you, but I know you're out there, that you find it doable to stay within the limits of any program and any regime you create for yourself. I'm not one of those blessed few, and I haven't met many of them, but I do know you're out there, so I want to give you a high five and say, hey, I wish I had your DNA. I don't. And I have had to start over. Sometimes I start over 5 times in a week. So you do the math. 9 years. That's a lot of starting over. So anyway, I thought I'd bring this article to your attention. I'll leave a link to it on the show notes page at www.artofthediet.com/130. And one of the comments of this article, and as you know, sometimes the comments on articles are as helpful to me as the article themselves. And one of them quoted a quote from Matthew McConaghey, the actor, of all people to be giving me weight management advice. Matthew McConaughey. Anyway, he apparently was asked in an interview about his exercise regime, because he's so fit and everything. And he said on those days when he doesn't feel like exercising and he's decided he's not going to do it or he's going to blow it up, he just ties his laces up. He puts on his shoes and ties the laces. That's it. And he found that one micro step helps him get over whatever the resistance was to doing the exercise. And I thought, that really is a gem of wisdom, because that is how one accomplishes big things, by just taking one step. So I read on in the article and I read on in the comments, and I'm going to read you some of them, and hopefully they'll help you wherever you are. Okay, so here are a few of the comments. The only thing I do not procrastinate about is filling up the gas tank. I've never run out of gas in close to 3 decades of driving. Gaslight may have come on once. Why can't I do that with everything? Getting gas really is easy. Stop when it isn't raining and you aren't already late. Otherwise, it will be and you will be. This just reiterates the old saying, yard by yard, it's very hard, but inch by inch, it's a cinch. Now, I love that. Yard by yard, it's very hard, but inch by inch, it's a cinch. Now, doesn't that apply to weight management? Oh my God, it really does. And I've never heard that old saying, and I'm old, so you're never too old to learn something. And I think it's also a good point. There are some things I never lose either, like my phone. I can lose everything else. The other day I went to visit my nephew and his kids, and I left and bye-bye and went out to the car, and then realized that I'd forgotten something, and I started walking back, and the 12-year-old came out and said, "Pappy, what'd you forget now?" They're used to it. But I don't forget my phone. It's so interesting. Just like I never run out of gas either. And there'd be plenty of times when I wouldn't have the right food in the house to coordinate with my weight planning goals. So I'm just saying, it's so interesting. We have priorities consciously, but unconsciously something else may be going on. Another person said, sometimes the first item on my list is make a list. Then as soon as I've made the list, I can cross off item number 1. A silly but motivating tactic. Another person says, weirdly, I've instituted one change in my life since January 1st that has helped me be productive in general, which is that I make my bed every morning on arising. I know a lot of people don't make their beds at all, but I always make mine before I get into it, which has sometimes meant making it at 5 in the afternoon or 10 at night. Having a made bed in my back pocket, so to speak, makes me feel like I've started the day with a completed task before even getting any coffee. I've had a much more productive January than usual and have not sunk too far into the seasonal seasonal affect disorder, despondency. I've heard that make one's bed before, just as a general way to begin to order your life. And I've also heard people swear by it, like this commenter. And as I look around at my bed, I'm gonna say to you that this is a tactic that I have often heard works and have never tried, but I'm going to try it this week. Yeah, so why don't you try it too, see if it works. Anyway, somebody says they have an easy button, and they bought it from Staples. It says, that was easy when you press it. So apparently it's got a little audio recording. And after you do something, you press it and it says that was easy. Oh my God. I think I have to get one just because it makes me laugh. And apparently this is a whole thing. There's a global easy button that has different languages, which would be even funnier to me. So I may get that one. And apparently there are free easy button apps, and I'll try to locate one and link to it in the show notes page. But anyway, the idea is to focus on easy steps first. Of course, one does not need a button to realize this, but it might help at times, particularly if you need little silly things to keep yourself interested like I do. And the button is something I can use to impress other people with. So I am definitely getting the easy button. The other thing is, another commenter said, which I have also found to be true, and he calls it the golden rule. Make one of those micro steps helping others. I think it often helps to do a task for the benefit of another person. Ironically, we are often more motivated to help others than to help ourselves. And sometimes helping others carries more urgency. For example, I am motivated to send this comment in order to help readers and Tim, the author of the article. There is an urgency about this because if I wait, the comment section will close. Okay, so that's something that has worked when I have been particularly down on whatever I'm doing or not accomplishing or whatever. And I've just said, well, how can I accomplish something of value, of meaning? And decided to do something for someone else and thought, okay, I feel a little better about myself. Let me see if I can go back and re-tackle this problem. And it does work. And it can be something small. It doesn't have to be some great, big, huge thing you do. Okay, so, and here's the woman that said, oh my God, when I first started working from home, before everyone did, all that housework I'd avoided before looked doable in the face of work. When I was stuck on something work-wise, that cobweb up in the corner was all-consuming. And the last one, I've taken Mark Twain's advice of eating the frog to heart. It is best to start with the task you are dreading most. Oftentimes, it isn't that bad. It just seems that way while it's taking up valuable mental real estate. Once you've finished it, the rest of your day will look much easier. And I must say, this is how I use the scale. And oftentimes it isn't as bad as I anticipate. And yet sometimes it is. But once I do it, it seems like the rest of my day is going to be easier because I'll be able to realize what I have to do. Now, this is the New York Times, and there's always someone that will give you your comeuppance. And after this Mark Twain's advice of eating the frog comment, he said, of course, Mark Twain did not say eating the frog, so you might want to start your day by checking things that are true first. I love the New York Times. Anyway, I'm hoping some of this resonates with you and you can apply it when you need it, when you're on the slippery slope. And right now, I am going to go and order a stop. Oh no, it's a that was easy button, because it just makes me laugh out loud because I'm just going to be hitting it all the time. So I started with the lady chips. That is like so over that topic right at the moment, but it did make me laugh. And I am always grateful for my listeners. And I want to point out I have this Facebook group that I'm still not sure I set this up right, believe it or not, people. And, you know, I am Miss Tech in my family. You know the truth. Anyway, it's at artofthediet.com, and it's PODSNACKS, Art of the Diet group. And I'm hoping to do a couple of times during the week, during these episodes, some sort of comment or video, and I'm going to post a somewhat longer version or a movie version of me eating the chips, because I just got enormous pleasure out of that whole thing. Not only making the recording of the noises, but me eating those chips. They tasted delicious. I'm telling you, I can tell you this right now. This is the truth. You know how Oprah says, I know this one thing to be true. If you don't eat chips for 2 weeks and then you have a bag of them, and it was a small bag too, it was a vending machine size bag, they taste delicious. Okay, so hope wherever you are, things are going well, and thanks for listening. And you know what? It's time for the music. See you later.